It's time for more Citroën action on the 1969 DS. You guys love these Citroën videos and we are not going to disappoint. Here's another one for you guys. Let's get started. So in case you haven't followed along, this is my 1969 Citroën DS. I've had it for quite a while. Got it from Tyler from Hoovie's Garage. Whenever he saw how much work it's going to take to get this thing back on the road or roadworthy, he said, I think I'm done. I don't even want to fool around with this car. This is way over my head. And before it disappeared and went to who knows where, I took my shot. I said, I want that car. I don't want it to leave my shop. So here it is. If you want to get caught up on everything that we've done so far, go check the previous Citroën videos we've done. It'll get you caught up on the whole process of getting it and looking it over and how it runs. There's even some video footage of the three-wheel motion that it can do and all the really cool features with the jack and everything. It's really, really cool. Danielson has been hard at work. He's actually got a lot of things already replaced on the suspension system. I've been using a lot of notes and information from Rob Murdoch, who has supplied all these parts that have been replaced, and an invaluable amount of information to actually do the work. We're getting ready to do the brakes and a few other things. I'm going to have to contact him on those and get some more information from him. But the rest was pretty straightforward. He provided the tools, lots of videos and how-tos and printouts and things with pretty much all the information we needed. And we're also going to cut something in half for you guys to see the insides. You know that I like to take things apart and let you guys see the insides. So let's get this thing up in the air and take a look at some of the suspension work we've already done. So we did have some wood blocks on the ground, so if we had to get the arms of the lift out from under the car, it wasn't sitting so low that it wouldn't allow us to do that, so that's why the wood blocks are on the ground. I want to show you we have a lot of things apart. Parts have been replaced, and Danielson has been a busy bee. Let me show you what it looks like in the front wheel well here. You can see that there's a bellows here. That is actually the ram that goes to the cylinder. You can kind of see the top of the bellows. The cylinder is in the engine bay. We'll show you it here in a little bit. That's your suspension. There's no coil spring, there's no leaf spring. That is what raises and lowers the car and also provides suspension to keep it up in the air. You can see lots of little lines and valves and things. It's actually complicated, but I would rather work on this than a Rolls-Royce version of this system. It's way less complicated than those. You won't see any brakes in here because they're inboard, kind of like an old Jag. There's still a few more things to put together on this. It just happens to be, this is as far as he's gotten. There's actually some little bumpers right there. They're rubber. We've got new ones coming. We're going to replace those before we pressurize the system and everything. Right now it'd be very easy to replace. As soon as we go under the hood, I'll show you the upper half of that and the balls of the car. Speaking of balls, let's go to the back end of the car where there are two balls. So here we are at the back of the car. You can actually see the left ball over here. It's connected to a cylinder which is in front of the ball. And then in Hoovie's Garage video, you saw me puncture the boots foolishly on this thing, which is okay because as you can see, I was going to replace them anyway. They have brand new boots on both sides. All the lines, everything are hooked up. We have not bled the system. We have not put fluid in it. We just got the parts installed. We're waiting on a few more parts from Rob Murdoch to finalize the installation and some bump stops, like I said, and some things like that. And then we can pressurize the system and bleed it. So let's head on over to the other side. So here we are on the right ball. Thinking of balls, you guys know in Hoovie's Garage that Tyler just had a life-changing surgery. Hopefully they didn't remove his balls, but I know they did some cutting on them for future purposes.
Oh, Wizard, what are you talking about? You've had that same procedure done?
Yes, I've had that procedure done too. It was a life-changing surgery and it was painful as such as well. Let's take a look at the right ball. You can see the same situation here. We have a new boot, a new ball, and a new cylinder, all brand new. You've seen a previous video with Bug Ninja, kind of going through the $4,000 worth of parts. It's quite an ordeal to go through this system, but it is going to be so fun to drive once it's all done. Let's go to the front right and then we'll lower it back down. Okay, so it's pretty much the same thing going on over here. There's a lot less lines and valves and things going on this side. You can see he still needs to hook up this to the boot. And a few other things. There's some purple colored bumpers that go here. They're still to come yet. We'll get those replaced. But we're making as much headway as we can while we wait for other parts to show up. Let's get this thing on the ground and look at its other balls. Get this hood opened up. Put the goofy prop rod down. So we can see two green shiny balls with blue. These are blue balls, guys. Well, partially blue balls. I wonder if Tyler's dealing with any blue balls right now with his life-changing surgery. There's actually a fifth ball down below the alternator down there. It's for the brake system. It's the main accumulator. You can kind of see it down there. It has not been replaced yet. We need to do that, and also the brake calipers, which are down below the coolant pipe down there. You can kind of see where I'm shining my light. Those will come out the bottom, I believe. But I want to contact Rob Murdoch on those and see exactly how those come out. But these green balls attach to the actual cylinder. You can see below the ball it attaches to an aluminum cylinder. It's actually a cylinder. That is the suspension at each wheel. Again, no coil springs, no leaf springs. That green ball is the spring. And here on the passenger side, you can actually see the cylinder a little easier. Again, that is the actuation for raising and lowering the car. It is the main component of the suspension. And you can see a little green cylinder-shaped thing there. That is the actual pump for the system. That pumps up the balls with fluid. Green fluid. So we've had enough looking at balls. That pretty much sums up the suspension system. Again, we're waiting on a few more parts. We'll finish it out, then we can bleed the system and get everything functioning and working again. Let's go over to the parts table. A lot of the old parts are laying out and kind of show you what they look like apart. So here's the actual cylinders I was talking about that the balls screw into. You can see they literally just screw on with a seal, just like that. Obviously, you wouldn't want to unscrew this ball while the system's under pressure. You would get blasted in the face with lots of ball fluid. Okay, this actually just goes in like this. There you have it. This thing goes in and out to raise and lower the suspension. And when you hit a bump, it compresses the rod here and compresses the diaphragm, which is filled with nitrogen inside of this ball. Those boots I actually punctured on Tyler's video on Hoovie's Garage are actually right here. These are the old ones. There you can see the little hole that I punctured there. A lot of people got upset that I punched a hole in it, but I knew even when I did that these are going in the trash. I didn't care if it had a hole in it. We have brand new ones on that I obviously will not be punching a hole in. These are Ligarex pliers. These are actually Rob's. He's waiting on a new set to replace the ones he let me borrow, but they're used on these bands that actually go around a lot of these boots and things to actually, kind of like a zip tie, but it's metal. When you guys have heard this thing running in the past, you hear a constant click, 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 click. A lot of people have asked, what is that? It was actually the nitrogen in these balls has been depleted, and there's no pressure there anymore. That's why it would pump up and raise the car, but there was no soft nitrogen to push against anymore. It was just solid fluid. They're ruptured or the nitrogen's gone. So instead of having a nice soft fluid flow in the system, it was deadheading and max pressure, and the pressure relief valve was click, 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 and it really is not good on the system to do that. Also, the car rode very, very rough, like a stagecoach, because the suspension was compromised. It no longer had suspension. It was just solid hydraulic fluid. You can listen, and I'll shake this ball here for you. You can hear fluid moving around inside. You would not hear that if this had 3,000 PSI in it. So you saw the splash screen, it said Great Balls of Fire. I'm actually going to cut one of these open for you guys. I don't know if these can be restored or rebuilt or not, but I'm going to sacrifice one of them for you, just for you guys, so we can see, actually visualize, where is this suspension? How does it absorb, like when you hit a bump, how does it absorb that? So let's go ahead and cut a ball open. I'm pretty sure there's no pressure left in this ball, but before we cut into it, I want to drill a small hole just to be sure, just to be safe. I'll put some, these aren't really safety glasses. I actually can't find my safety glasses. I used to have 2 or 3 pairs of them. These are actually UV glasses for air conditioning dye, but whatever, it's better than nothing, I guess. Everything's kind of yellow. So let's go ahead and drill a hole. I don't think anything's going to come out of here, but we'll see. So I just drilled through the body, like fully all the way through. You can see the drill bit. There's nothing there. There should, on a good ball, it should have been a blast of nitrogen just come out. That tells me exactly why we replaced all of them. They're no good. So now I know there's no pressure in there. I'm not going to get hurt. Now we're going to cut the ball and release the juice. There we go, the ball is starting to release its lovely juice. You can see it just pouring out of there. I'm going to go ahead and keep cutting. Definitely getting sparks all over me. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire. These are some seriously stout balls. Had to get another battery for this thing. That is some smoking balls, Mrs. Wizard.
That is quite a hot load there.
Yeah. There we go. So here's what's left of our diaphragm. It should be a nice, soft, pliable. It's just degraded, and that's where our nitrogen went. This thing ruptured and it went into the system. You can see the little hole there. The fluid comes in on the back side of this diaphragm. On this side of the ball, there's 3,000 psi nitrogen. And the fluid pushes against the diaphragm and compresses the nitrogen. You can kind of see where they fill it with nitrogen there in this little valve. They can be rebuilt, but I definitely wanted to take one apart and show you guys what it looks like on the inside and how this system works. This little diaphragm, like I mentioned, sits between high pressure nitrogen and the green suspension fluid that's in here, LHM or whatever you want to call it. Pretty much all these balls are probably compromised like that. So it definitely was time to get new ones installed. The cylinders were leaking. We got all new cylinders. The boots were leaking. We got new boots. As soon as we get everything finished, installed, it's going to be wonderful to get this thing on the road. But anyways, there's your ball demonstration for the day. We definitely showed you the balls today. So that's where we're at on this really sweet Citroën. We're getting all the suspension rebuilt and getting everything brand new, full operational. Like I've mentioned, the engine doesn't need a lot of work. The engine runs perfect. The transmission goes into all the gears. It does everything it's supposed to. Electrically it works. It just had leaky, non-functional suspension. Well, it would actually raise itself, but it wasn't functional as far as driving it. I think Tyler actually drove it, and it was so rough, he just brought it back immediately. He's like, this thing is undrivable. It will be drivable once we get everything done. Thanks again to Rob Murdoch for giving a lot of tips and tricks on this car and also getting all the parts I need to get this thing back on the road. There'll be a few more videos on this before we take it on a cruise and let you guys kind of experience what it's like to be in one of these while it's driving. But we got a few more steps to get to that point. If you're curious what kind of tools we use to work on this or any car that we have in the shop, check my Amazon affiliates link in the description below. We get a small cut and really appreciate it. And make sure to hit the subscribe button because there's more Citroën videos, and this summer we're going to have bus videos and all kinds of really cool videos for you guys. Thanks for watching.